Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. This is Jamie Stillman with Team Stillman Mortgage, and today I have a very special guest and friend of mine, and that is Tami Gray Green in the studio with us, and she is a local real estate agent with Keller Williams and has been a friend of mine for quite a long time. Does a lot more than just buy and sell houses, so we'll get to talk a little bit about some of that stuff and some of the other hats that she wears and keeps things moving in the real estate world. So thanks for being here, Tami.
Hey, thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, I'd love to. How much time do we have? I'm kidding.
All kinds of time. Go for it.
I'm kidding. Well, I specialize in flipping houses, as you know. I've been in real estate for over 24 years and just, proud to be a real estate agent helping buyers and sellers. So we don't just sell our flips. Of course, we have buyers and sellers, all price ranges. But what we love to do, my passion, is flipping houses.
Okay, cool. So everybody that watches TikTok or Instagram thinks it's real easy to flip a house, right? You just go buy it real cheap, fix it up, sell it, make a huge profit. So
that's it.
What's the reality of flipping houses? How does it really work?
I think I need my own TV show, right?
Yeah.
The real way to flip houses, or how it really happens. I could probably write a book, or
I'm sure.
We could talk for hours on the realistic aspects of flipping houses. But TV shows have brought a lot of people to the market and flipping houses. So when I started 24 years ago, I can remember being at the courthouse steps in Rutherford County, and there would be like 4 of us there.
Oh my gosh.
And now there's 40 of us there.
I bet. Yeah.
So prices have gone up, on flips and auctions. There's all kinds of ways to find flips. But I guess these days, finding them from an individual that needs to sell quickly would be the most affordable way to find a flip. Since
Very
everybody's on the courthouse steps, or everybody's at auctions, Yeah.
So. And doing it for 24 years, you've got a little bit of a perspective, and I think you kind of have a team, a family, everybody that's involved a little bit. So talk a little bit about that, because it's kind of unique.
Sure.
It's not just you and some contractors. You've got some pretty cool connections.
I do. It's a family affair. Dalton, my son, started with me almost 4 years ago now. And he, said, "Mom, college isn't for me." And I said, "What do you want to do?" And he said, "I want to flip houses with you." And so I said, "Okay, well, we start early and work late." And he said, "I'm all for it." And he hasn't stopped since then. So we would, ride together every morning. We got to talk and hang out every day. So what wouldn't you love about that? Yeah. Being able to work with your son every day. And here we are 3 or 4 years later, and now I'm trying to get on his schedule.
Oh, that's great.
Dalton, we have a new flip. Well, Mom, I have 3 ahead of you. Wait, I'm Mom. I should be first,
I brought you into this, right?
Right. So I'm very proud that he owns Sweet Home Renovations, and anything you need for housing, Dalton can do that. So call Dalton Gray, Sweet Home Renovations.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of good reviews online, people talking about him doing stuff, and
Absolutely.
So not just through you. I've heard great things about what he does, and heard from a lot of people that he's done work for.
Yeah. Thank you.
I've had buyers that I've been fortunate enough to work with through you that have bought flips that you were doing, and they speak glowingly about not just the place, but what was done to it and what y'all have done to it. So
thank you.
A lot of great feedback.
Well, and not only do we do renovations and flips, but that's another great thing about having other buyers and sellers. If, one of my buyers and sellers needs to get their home ready to sell, then Dalton can step in. In fact, that happened today. Went over to a house, carpet needed stretching, house, needed a few rooms painted, did some woodwork, and we'll be ready to, take photographs and get their house listed by the end of the week. So it is awesome. Wonderful that I can call in, help, and he has all of his subcontractors, and we try to keep, houses going so that we don't lose those people. So we can do things really quick because we have all of our workers on hand.
Yeah. And ideally, I know probably market dictates a little bit, but ideally, you know, how many projects do you yourself try to keep going at one time if you're able to?
Sure. And again, the market dictates that. And, you know, how quickly can we buy one or find one, right?
Yeah, sure.
So we try to be, we try to be very careful and cautious on what we buy because the equity has to be there. So I remember at one time we had 8 going, and I
Wow.
said I would never do that again. But right now we have 3 going.
Okay.
And so ideally, if we can buy one and close on it, be working on one and have one on the market and sort of keep that pace, then our workers are always constantly busy, especially when Dalton has other investors and other buyers and sellers that he's working with, you know, too.
Yeah.
So ideally, I guess 3 to 4 would be what we want to keep.
Keep you busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, a little bit about what we were talking about, the myth of that. You know, it's not like, especially now, you're probably not buying something on the courthouse steps and there's $200,000 of equity and you put 50,000 in and, you know, bang, you make some people's yearly salary on a flip. It's just, I know we've talked a little bit about that's just not the real world now, and how you have to really budget. You have to have people that do quality work at a reasonable price to really, you know, make money doing what you do. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the risk that you're taking is huge,
Absolutely.
but then you've also got to budget right, time right to make it to where it's a profitable business, I'm sure.
Sure, and I've learned over the years too. It's not, you know, you make money on the buy. I always heard that, and that's correct. But you know, putting a product out there, here we are 24, 25 years later, and
Yeah.
you know, I pride myself on our flips and my name being good in the market and the product that we put out there for sale. So I pride myself on that. But you know, the equity, we used to could flip 9 houses a year or
Wow.
5 to 9 houses a year 24 years ago, where now we flip closer to 20 to 24 houses a year to make the same, you know,
Wow.
salary. And so it is a lot different. People think that you're going to get rich overnight flipping houses, and it's just not true.
Yeah.
You got to take the good with the bad.
Sure.
And sometimes we make, you know, little to nothing. Thank goodness I have always made something, and thank goodness we've always sold them all. So, and there's a lot of them I wish I had a kept.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Looking back, sure.
Yeah.
I fall in love with them when you work on them for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, you fall in love with them. So a lot of them I wish I could have kept.
Yeah. I know you said your passion is flipping houses, but you also just buy and sell or help people buy and sell real estate as well. So what's your favorite part of that side of it? Do you like working with buyers and doing listings, or do you have a preference, or, you know, kind of where's your sweet spot on that, I guess?
Sure. Well, I say I was really a listing agent because of my houses and because of my sellers. I'm bringing on more buyers lately, and I really like that because it's a change for me, showing houses
Yeah.
and helping people, you know, get into houses. But I'm finding that a lot of times I can get somebody into one of our houses without renovating it, and I'm trying to really educate people on sweat equity. You know, some of the houses that we buy are livable and they're nice. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do need like a new appliances or new kitchen countertops.
Okay.
But it's livable, and we can lower the cost and get somebody, a first-time home buyer, or, you know, somebody that's maybe early 20s that doesn't want to rent anymore. So we're trying to educate on sweat equity.
Yeah.
You can do this after you move in, but let's get you in a good house, and then, you know, one room at a time as you have the budget, then, you know, fix it up. But
Yeah.
at least you're investing, at least you're not buying someone else a house. I always say that too. You're buying a house. You know, you might be buying your landlord's house,
Right.
paying rent, but if you will invest even in a smaller house, I think social media has done a disservice. You know, with our young adults thinking they have to buy a massive house.
A massive, perfect house.
That's right.
That barely, you know, it blows my mind sometimes the things that people cancel transactions for over inspections. And it's like, oh, that's very fixable.
Absolutely.
Now, if you've got an inspection that's got, all kinds of foundation issues and stuff, maybe you can't deal with it.
Right.
But I mean, I think there's this pressure out there now from social media that you've got to have this house that the day you walk in, you take the video and everybody else is jealous and blown away.
Right.
And it's like, if you just dial it back just a little bit, like you said, get into a house, create some equity. I think you've talked a lot about 2 years.
Yes.
Get in that house for 2 years.
You don't have to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And, we want a great area. We want great school systems, or, we want it to be sellable, of course, and it will be. But I do educate, my buyers on, let's pick a great house, but you can do a lot of the work yourself and, have value when you sell it, and don't fall in love with the first one. Yeah. Let's put you on a 2-year plan. And, we work together well on that, Jamie, because a lot of people that I send to you can't buy right now, but we're closing deals that I sent to you a year or two ago because they needed to be on a plan. So, you can talk about that, but I highly recommend my buyers or potential buyers to call you and get on a plan so that we can buy a house a year from now. They might need a little bit of adjustment with their credit. They might need to start saving for a down payment.
Yeah.
Well, let's start talking about that now, and then you won't believe how quickly a year or two can go by.
So fast.
Yeah, and now you're ready to invest and make money instead of throwing your money away to rent. And it's important. It's one of the best investments that you'll ever make is buying a home. Yeah. So yes, getting on that plan, getting on that program with you, and then you come back to me, even if it's a year later, but we can get you in that first house. Don't fall in love with it, I always say. Yeah. If we can get you in one for 2 years and then move up. Yeah. Move up in square footage 2 years later. And I know a lot of people don't want to move. But if you want to make money, sometimes you have to. Yeah. Right?
And everybody says they don't want to move. But the funny thing is, if you're in the industry, everybody does.
Everybody does.
It's so rare. It's like the people that say, where were you born? And I'm like, Nashville. And they're like, no, really, where are you from? And I'm like, no, I'm really from here. And they're like, nobody does that.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, everybody says, this is my last house. I'm never going to move again. And, I don't know what the real statistics are, but it feels like 90% of people, they're moving again, especially from the odds that they buy that first house and stay there for the rest of their life is so slim.
That's right.
So, don't fall in love with it. And on the education part, that's what we spend a lot of time educating people on is I always say, you can buy a house. It's either now or when you're ready. It's not that you can't buy a house. Everybody can.
That's right.
Just some people have different plans of where they've got to get to before they can.
That's right.
And so the hardest part for us, one of our biggest challenges is also on social media and kind of this entitlement, situation. Everybody's like, I don't want to wait. I want a house now. Don't tell me no. I want to buy a house.
Sure.
So it's getting people to work that plan and so they can get ready. And you do a good job of setting that up on the front end. People don't come in just thinking they're going to get qualified right away. Some people do. Yes. Some people are in a great situation. They're ready to buy and they haven't even really given it a lot of thought, but they're somewhere along the line. They got their credit good. They saved a little bit and they're in good shape. Other people maybe weren't told what to do. So they come in and they have a lot of work to do.
Sure.
But if they'll do it, you can get there. So that's our biggest challenge is following that plan and getting people to do those next little steps. Because the ones that do, they get there a lot faster than they think.
Yeah. Well, Dalton's age, Malia's age, my children are 23 and 26. They've already both bought homes, and I'm trying to educate their friends because they don't know where to start. Well, that's what we're here for, right? We've been doing this a long time and would be happy to help them. But, I also tell them, don't be house poor either. You still want to go on vacations. You still want to, go out to eat at night and have fun. And you never know what's around the corner either. What if you had an injury? You know, we don't want to be house poor. So, discussing that with us or with your real estate agent or your mortgage person, don't be house poor. Be smart about what you buy.
That's so important too, because we can be out here all the time and say the market is what it is. Home ownership adds so many things to your life. I mean, there's been studies done over and over and over. Home ownership puts you in position it's weird. People do better in their jobs. People advance further in life. It's kind of a phenomenon.
Yes.
Because how come renting and owning can change your life that much? But it shows that it does.
Yes.
So just educating people on that. But the education part that's so important is also being able to take a step back and say, we're in sales, but if this doesn't make sense for you, we need to change the plan a little bit.
That's right.
I think that's so huge because we get caught up in, or the industry gets caught up in having closings, doing the next thing. And you've got to take a step back and be, I'm here to help everybody.
That's right.
But you need to be comfortable.
That's
And that's
right.
what we talk about with rates being higher than what everybody thinks they should be. And that kind of stuff is you've still got to be comfortable with that payment. If rates never go down,
That's right.
people keep saying they're going to. I don't know if it's really going to happen. We've been waiting for a while. But if rates never go down,
Right.
if this payment that you're starting with today, if you're comfortable with that, then we can move forward.
That's right.
But, don't bank on it being different. Don't bank on, something else, but let's talk and stay in reality.
That's right. Well, and interest rates, and you're the one that could talk more about this than I can, but interest rates are average. And to me, interest rates are great right now, but I'm 55. And telling a 23-year-old that rates
Yeah.
are great right now is hard.
Yes.
So a lot of it's education. Do your research and be educated. The 2s and 3% was once in a lifetime.
Yep.
But in 1980, my brother-in-law had a 16%. Thank goodness we're not back there. That was
Right.
a one-time,
Absolutely.
period as well. So I really, hope that people are looking up the information, educating themselves on interest rates aren't bad right now.
Right.
I think house prices got out of control because of the 2 and 3%. But right now, I think that's sort of settling out. You
Yeah.
can find a good deal out there. You can. You just need help, navigating that market. So right now is a great time to buy.
Yeah. And that's where a professional comes in.
Absolutely.
And you're an extremely professional real estate agent that me
Thank
and my
you.
team has worked with many times.
Thank you.
And gotten tons of feedback after closings and those kind of things. So, I mean, that's why it's so important, and not to veer off down a whole nother path, but having somebody that's a full-time agent that is educated, does have your best interests at heart, and can walk you through some of that is so vital.
Absolutely.
Because, if you're just going online, getting qualified, and then you're just using no names, just whatever
Right.
random service out there, you
Sure.
need the education piece.
Absolutely.
I want my kids to have that. I don't want them
Absolutely.
out there just doing what somebody says and running with it,
Sure.
Like you said, take a minute to learn, go back and what you're told, do a little research on it. Come ask you. Come ask
Absolutely.
me, this is what so-and-so said at work. Does this sound right? I think that's so important.
I do too, and with the new laws, we could talk too about the new NAR rules and regulations on agents, and their commission, and it's very fair to read the rules, but it's not fair that they don't give you the whole picture.
Sure.
Like negotiating an agent's commission has always been negotiable. You know that.
Yeah.
It's what you put on the contract. So when I'm sitting at a table with a seller or a buyer, I am in sales and we are having that conversation. It's not set in stone. You can negotiate anything, just like you can with a house.
Sure.
Everything's negotiable, but it's finding an agent that's experienced and truthful, honest, who's been doing it for a really long time. And I work
Yeah.
with a lot of great agents out there.
Yeah.
So do you. They're out there, but the resources that they have are invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking as you were talking about that, with some of the experience you have with flipping and using contractors and doing stuff, I bet that makes the conversations. I always tell agents, I feel like one of y'all's hardest job has got to be to have sellers get realistic about what they can sell for.
Yeah.
So hard conversations about, the market determines it, and, your house is nice, but this is what else you have in the neighborhood.
Sure.
So I think those are probably hard conversations, but
Yep.
you need a professional to have those, because
Yes.
if you just say, you want to sell it for this, I'll put a sign in the yard. Let's see what happens.
Sure.
If you never have those conversations, then their house doesn't sell. Then they're like,
Yes.
man, this real estate agent did nothing for me.
Right.
So I bet everything that you do helps some of those conversations really relate to, more than just, hey, that house is pretty, I want to sell it. kind of thing.
Absolutely. And, different agents have different approaches. I'm going to educate you from my knowledge. I'm going to show you where I got that information. To me, solds are better than anything. You can list your house all day long for the price you think it's worth, but what is, realistically going to sell? And to me, solds in your neighborhood, solds in your area speak volumes. What did it really sell for? Just because you listed it for something didn't mean it was going to sell for that.
Yeah.
And a good agent will pull those comps and tell you realistically what stuff sold for in your neighborhood. And, same year, house, same square footage, house. You can't compare something in your neighborhood that was just built, to something that's 20 years old. How many renovations have you done? And two, when somebody's coming into the market, what's your competition? What other houses in a radius, of your home is the competition? We want to beat them out, or or highlight what's better about yours. So all those things come into play.
Yeah, I bet it. I always try to kind of figure that out, and I think that's what's so invaluable about what y'all do. And I also, people will call me. I get the famous calls sometimes, like, "Hey, what's your rate today?"
Right.
And then I have to see if this is somebody that I can actually talk to and kind of educate them, because I'm like, there is no rate today.
Right.
It depends on 20 different programs and where your credit's at, where your ratios are at, how much you're putting down. There's so many things that go into that, and that's my open door to explain how it works, because if you call somebody and they just tell you a rate, that's a problem to start with. It might sound good or it might sound bad, but if they're just saying here's the rate, that's a problem,
right?
Because there's more to it than that.
And and I know from working with you, I'll have somebody that shops the market, and I'll say, I understand you want to shop the market, as you should, right? Because your money is very important to you, and I want you to have the best rate.
Sure.
But you have to look at apples to apples, because just because somebody has a lower rate doesn't mean it won't balloon, or doesn't mean that they're not packing on all those fees on the back end.
Sure.
And again, who's watching out, for your best interest when it comes to that? So anytime somebody's shopping a rate, I'll say, hey, take the paperwork back to Jamie and make sure, because I know you're not going to let somebody beat you when it comes to a percentage.
Yeah.
If it's apples to apples.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what you said. Yeah. That's the whole thing is, and it's not even that I want that deal over somebody else necessarily, is let's make sure it's apple to apples, so you know what you're paying for.
That's right.
Like you said with the education, you want to make sure, if commission's negotiable, let's talk about why it's this, why it should be this. Let's talk about what you're paying to get that rate. Do you really want to do that long term? What's it costing you? Let's do some cost analysis.
That's right.
I tell people all the time, we won't get way off on mortgages, but if you're paying $10,000 in points to drop your rate a half a point. Well, if you're not in that house for, I'm just making up numbers here, but if you're not in the house 6 or 7 years, you're not even going to break even.
That's right.
So you move in 3 years, you just spend a bunch of money up front for no reason. But, and I even was joking with a lady the other day. I was like, but it feels good to go to work and say, like, my rate is this. But you spent, you could have $10,000 to buy a couch and some stuff for your house instead of worrying about what that number was. And she's like, I'd much rather have that $10,000 in my pocket for that kind of stuff. So it just takes a minute to slow down and go, let's kind of talk about it and figure out, how's this really work? Because somebody that works wherever, they're not doing this every day.
That's right.
They're not seeing the things that you see when they go in houses. And that's why it's so important to have a great agent that knows inspectors, because you can sit down with a home inspection and say, this is pretty normal.
Yes.
We did 8 properties this year that has this. It's perfectly normal. It's an easy fix.
Yes.
Where if somebody just gets an inspection in their inbox, they might go, oh my God, look at all this red and yellow. Like that, they code them. They're like, this house is falling apart.
Well, we just talked about that today too. I had a home inspection, and I was there at the home with the inspector, and he and I had that conversation. When you get a home inspection report, they want to do their best job, so they're giving you a report that's 45 pages long, but that can be overwhelming to a new home buyer. And it's good to have a real estate agent that knows home inspections, like you just said, because we can break it down and say, hey, let's don't get caught up in the loose screw or the pop nail or let's look at the red areas and concentrate on those. What's really important, what's the money, and that is a good thing about flipping houses. I'm usually not dressed up, that. I'm usually in a construction clothes and
when I said where's
paintbrush.
different when I said where's different hats, I meant that literally.
Literally.
Yeah. I saw a video recently. You wear a lot of different hats.
I do, and I love that. And I think that's when they say if you love what you do, it's not work.
Yeah.
I work this weekend. I work all the time, but I do it because I love it and I'm passionate about it. But I really love what I do.
Yeah.
So this weekend I was painting, and sometimes I do paint our flips. If I'm going to save $10,000, I'm like, Dalton, I'll be there to help.
Yeah.
So we are painting one right now. But when you're dealing with an inspection report, because I have, and I can show you a picture, we took up a floor this weekend because 5 floor joists had rotted.
Okay.
And I'll give a shout out to Jim Gunrow with American Structural because I work with him a lot. But he and his guys got in there and replaced, 5 joists, and it's just amazing. So then I want to learn about structural stuff. I mean, I've dealt with it a little bit, of course, from all the houses that I've flipped. But when you're talking about an inspection report, let's get to those things and those problems, you know. Sometimes 45-page report can be overwhelming, but it is important, and having a real estate agent that can, sit down with you and say, these are the expensive things, these are the things we're going after. Let's not, focus on these things. It happens with any house. When you buy a house, even a new construction house, you can have a punch list and go back through and find things, even on new construction.
Yeah.
But
that's like what you were talking about earlier with sweat equity.
Yes.
If this is little things, little trim work or a screw missing or something, I wish in my first house I would have done a few of those little things because I'm not an extremely handy person.
Yes.
My wife jokes all the time and says like, hey, if you need numbers for a mortgage or you need to know how programs work, call my husband.
Yes.
If you need something handy around the house, don't call him.
That's right.
It's not going to help you at all.
Well, and that's okay too, right?
Yeah,
it's okay to know
sure.
your strengths and weaknesses, and be able to say, hey, I've got a person for that. Right?
Yeah. But I wish I would have learned a little bit more, like in my first house, just little things here and there. Because I'm like, man, that somebody will show me how to do something. If somebody shows me how to do it, I can do it.
Yes.
No problem. I don't mind. I tell people all the time, I don't mind getting dirty, sweaty work. I'm just not, my brain doesn't work at like, hey, that thing's over there. Let me take it apart and put it back together.
Right.
Terrible at that kind of stuff. But once I learn something, I can do it again. So I wish in my first house, I would have learned a few of those easy things to do.
Sure. And the inspector that inspected the house today, I hadn't used him before. I just met him, and thank goodness I now have, a new contact. But he leaves a manual with his buyers, or his customers that did the inspection. He leaves them a manual, and I can't wait to really read the book. I'll tell you more later.
Yeah.
But it was a homeowner's manual on how to, navigate a new home if something breaks, or how to keep it in good shape for many, many years, right? We're going to have our HVAC. We're going to change the filter. We're going to have the company come out and inspect it, winter and summer. Yeah. So it was a great how-to guide on your home and keeping things working and what to look for.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. I'll look more into that and tell you about it.
And that's something I've learned over the years that we've tried to start telling our kids about as they're younger.
Yes.
I don't know why. I mean, maybe it's where you grew up, what the environment was, but just little things that all of a sudden, if you don't know anything about them, then they break and they're huge repairs.
Yes.
That if you just know to have this checked, have that changed.
It'll last a lot longer.
It sounds silly, but I know so many people. And when I was really young, I didn't keep up with little maintenance things. And I'm like, man, you can just let a couple little things go and then they become a major repair.
Well, yeah, I see that in flipping houses, right? We'll go in and somebody hasn't changed the air filter in 10 years. I'm not kidding. It looks like it's 10 years old.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, wow, do we not know about the little things?
Yeah.
So, yes, educate yourself on your home.
That's really cool.
Anybody can do it if you try.
Yeah. And it can save you major, how did this happen?
Yeah.
You can even know, like you said, with HVAC and stuff, you can know that it's getting to the end of its life.
Yes.
You can see things that are going on.
That's right.
Even just like casually, I've heard people talk about just casually, maybe even looking up at your roof.
Yes.
Some people go to their house every day and never look up there.
Yes.
If there's a couple of shingles missing or something, maybe address that until
before
one
it becomes
day,
a leak.
Yes.
Before
you have this leak and you're like, what's going on? Well, if you haven't looked up at your roof in 2 years, you might have had a couple shingles missing that could have been repaired, saved this whole big mess.
That's right.
Just, I think that's so important with young home buyers too, just to be aware of what's
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
your biggest investment, right?
Yeah.
You
Don't
take
just
care-
live there.
That's right. Yeah, take care of it, because when you sell it, you're going to make money.
Yeah.
And so you have to take care of that investment. That's
Yeah.
right.
And if you don't have to do a renovation, if you're just helping somebody list and you can talk about in the listing how well maintained it is, then you don't have to dump a bunch of money into the renovation. You can sell it kind of as is if it's been taken care of.
That's
just like a
right.
car, just like anything.
Yeah, you're
If
going to
it's-
have to do it sometime.
Yeah.
Either before you sell it or along the way, right? You're going
Right.
to have to do it sometime.
Yeah. So go ahead and take care
Go
of it.
ahead and take care of it.
Yeah. So I know we've been going for a little while here, but I definitely want to ask you kind of, if you have something off the top of your head, what's your favorite thing that you've ever done in real estate or flipping, or, or just one story that really stuck with you that was cool?
Oh, wow. I do have one. And I wished I could do this all the time because it incorporates both my children, and it's always fun. I've talked about Dalton and what he does, but very important to say that Malia, my daughter, works at TriStar Title, and I met Sherry, just a side note. She was the first person, when I became an agent, they tell you, find a closing company that you like to work with.
Yeah.
And I think Sherry had just opened TriStar, maybe. I think so. And I walked in her office and said, "Hi, I'm Tammy. I'm a new agent, and I'm looking for a closing company."
Yeah.
I've been with her over 18 years.
Wow.
And
That's phenomenal.
now my daughter works for her.
Yeah.
And so, keeping it in the family, right? Now Sherry's teaching my daughter, which is, it brings me great pride and joy knowing that my daughter's in good hands with Sherry, and I trust her, and she does all my closings.
Yeah.
So here's what happened. I'll go back, but Malia closes our stuff. She closes, all of our title work. She closes our houses for us.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's important too, to make sure that you have title insurance and to make sure your home's protected. So I know I'm in good hands with Dalton renovating, and I know I'm in good hands with Malia closing.
Yeah.
So my best friend, our mothers were best friends. We went to college together here at David Lipscomb. Well, now she lives in Brentwood, and I live in Murfreesboro, but we talk every week. Well, her husband is a physician, and his parents were moving into an assisted living. Okay, another side note, I also have my administration license for an assisted living.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
love working with
Yeah.
seniors, okay? Love working with seniors. And a lot of times they are moving out of their home and moving into an assisted living, right? Or downsizing or moving in with a family member.
Sure.
So this was my favorite sale or favorite time to work with a family. My friend called me and said, "Tammy, we're overwhelmed. We're overwhelmed because Clark's parents are moving into an assisted living in Mississippi, and there's siblings, and they're in different states, and we've got to get them moved. We don't know what to do. They're taking a handful of stuff because they can't move a whole house into an assisted living, and we've got to sell the property, and they're moving next Friday. Can you come over and give us a renovation checklist, how much you think we'll spend? We have a budget." So we did. We got to go from the very start to the very end. We went in with Dalton's team, gave them A, B, and C. Here's 3 scenarios. We can
Okay.
do this, this, or this. And, they picked, let's say B, and we went in and did everything to get the house ready. They were overwhelmed. They didn't know how to throw away the stuff or get it to Goodwill. So we were able to get, truckloads to Goodwill. Then we were able to, throw away any trash that was in the home that was left over, because you're going to have stuff that, isn't any good. And then we renovated the home, and then we took pictures, got it on the market, sold it. But Malia came in because we have brothers and sisters in different states, right? And Malia said, "I'll come to your house. You don't have to come here. I'll come to you," because the parents were aged.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Malia didn't want them to have to drive. So went there. They all signed a power of attorney to let one of the sons that lived here sign all the paperwork. So Malia was able to help with
Wow.
that transaction from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So we took something that was hard on somebody, that was overwhelming. They work jobs. They didn't have time to do all this. Brothers and sisters couldn't come down all the time to do all this.
Yeah.
So they got their personal belongings out. We took over after that.
Yeah.
And closed on the house. They dispersed the money to the children. And, they gave us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
So I think if you took all of our renovations and all of our transactions, I think that would be my favorite because it was personal.
Yeah.
We were able to use all of our expertise to help a family. So if I could do 20 more of those,
That's really cool.
I would love to.
Yeah. And that's why, relationships are so important in what we do.
Yes.
Because there's, I say it all the time. There's, I think we do a great job in mortgage. There's excellent other people in mortgages. There's some people that you probably should never use in mortgages.
Right.
After you
Same thing with real estate.
Yeah, same thing with title companies.
Title companies,
TriStar is an amazing company, and having
Yes.
Malia there is a huge advantage, and somebody that's
Yes.
willing to do that kind of stuff for you. So relationships are so important, and that's why it's so great when you get to use local people and you get to
Yes.
use the people that are going to take care of it. I mean, if we have a transaction at TriStar and something's going on, I know we can call over there. Somebody's going to answer. Somebody's going to try to help us with that.
Absolutely.
Every contract I see, if there's a name on there I'm not really sure about, sometimes it turns out okay. Sometimes it's tough.
That's right.
So the relationships are huge. But
And that's why, yes, I've kept them on my team, and I won't use anybody else
Yeah.
unless I have to. And they know I have to sometimes if it,
Sure.
is in the contract that I have to. But we have difficult ones. I mean, think about flips. We have bought, just last week, bought a house. It had $150,000 worth of liens on it. I want to know that I have a clear title.
Yeah.
I want to know those liens are paid off. I want to know, who's doing
Absolutely.
my closings. So that's why it's important too. Do you
Yeah.
know your title? Do you know what's on that title? Do you have a clear title? So when you go to sell it, there's no problems.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to have a great title company.
Absolutely. It's huge. It's huge.
Yep.
Well, how would people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about buying or selling, or anything
Sure.
that you would be open to talk about?
Absolutely. So I'm in Murfreesboro, Keller Williams, Murfreesboro. We're on St. Andrews. And my number is 615-319-4725. You can call me anytime. I love to educate as well. So if you have questions, no questions too small, give me a call. Yes, I would love to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking time out and coming and educating us a little bit on some stuff.
Yes, thanks for having me, Jamie. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, if you have a chance to reach out to Tami, you'll definitely enjoy working with her, talking to her. She's a wealth of knowledge. And as we talked about, it has a lot of information about flips, title companies, renovations, buying and selling homes, a little bit of everything. So she is an awesome resource, especially in our area. So if you need anything, reach out to her. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.